Snipers, you have to see what's happening to the Bitcoin price right now as our weekly candle closes in less than 30 minutes with 4 consecutive red weekly candles. Check this out. The last time that we had 4 consecutive red weekly candles was in June of 2020, and Bitcoin immediately began to move to the upside after that to see new all-time highs. Are we going to be seeing that again with 4 red weekly candles for the first time since June of 2020? Well, check this out. Funding rates for shorts are extremely high right now. Could we see a short squeeze coming into this week? Here's the other thing, snipers. If you've been watching the last 2 videos, there are a lot of bearish puzzle pieces that we're going to have to face with equity markets opening up tomorrow. The S&P 500 closing extremely bearish, the VIX indicating a lot of volatility to come into this week, the strength of the US dollar continuing to push up, the Euro to USD pairing pushing down below major support, inversely correlated with the same strength of the US dollar, indicating that we'll see continued strength for the dollar. Are those bearish puzzle pieces going to affect Bitcoin, which has been the stronger asset through the start of this year till now? Well, there's an easy way to tell, and I'll talk about exactly what we need to watch, because just realize this. On the weekly chart now, our 100-week moving average for the first time has come above 34,788. So this to me is a backstop for Bitcoin. If we see even any sort of downside in equity markets that justifies Bitcoin having to come down, maybe the algos that are correlating with the NASDAQ for Bitcoin decide, let's bring it down. The 100-week moving average now is above 35,000 US dollars. That's a very strong backstop for the worst case scenario. Maybe we see this. We clear some of the long positions that entered into in late. We trap some short positions here. That's on the table, but let's talk about a bullish case as well. With our daily candle potentially closing below the 600-day moving average, it looks like we're losing this level. There is that potential we can come down to 35,000. But with on-chain analytics extremely strong, with Bitcoin's fundamentals still very strong, here's what I'll say. If we are going to be seeing Bitcoin push to the upside to squeeze shorts, the first indication of that is going to be breaking the major psychological level of 40,000. If we can get above 40,000, then we could expect 42,000 to come on the table. Any break above 42,000, we start talking about upside scenarios, but 40,000 is very critical. Now with Bitcoin below the 600-day moving average, until we get above it, which pretty much is 40,000, we just have to play this cautiously and know that there is a potential that Bitcoin can come down to 35,000, as we talked about yesterday, clear out some of the longs that came in pretty late, and of course, trap short sellers before seeing a reversal back to the upside. Now, nonetheless, for those that expect Bitcoin to go into no man's land, which is below 30,000, I wouldn't be too concerned about talking about the scenario now, because I would expect Bitcoin to have a cup of coffee at 35,000, form a bearish flag on the micro time frames before we see Bitcoin head down to no man's land. So we talked about this scenario yesterday. Bitcoin comes to 35,000, has a cup of coffee, and forms a bearish flag, then that would indicate we could potentially enter no man's land. But if we don't have a cup of coffee at 35,000, we come to test it for a wick, just like we did twice already, and we immediately turn back around, that's an indication that Bitcoin reached the destination. And so if we do see this downside scenario, what we want to see is an immediate reversal at 35,000 back to the upside. If we start to camp out here at 35,000, that's when I'd be concerned, and I'd most likely have enough time to get a video out. I just don't expect us to see a full-on capitulation into no man's land. There just aren't puzzle pieces to justify that just yet. Yes, there are a lot of bearish puzzle pieces on the table. As you can see from the left-hand side, all of the red are bearish puzzle pieces. The DXY, S&P 500, Euro to USD. These are certainly bearish puzzle pieces, and especially the VIX. It looks like we're going to see volatility in equity markets coming into the start of this week. But just remember, snipers, Bitcoin has been the stronger asset since the start of this year. And so, as I mentioned yesterday, if we get green days in the equity markets, brace yourself for Bitcoin to see some upside and outperform equity markets. And so Maybe we have to go through one red day and then turn around Tuesday comes and we see that green day to get Bitcoin back above 42,000. These are all scenarios on the table. I'll tell you what, the on-chain analytics are still very strong. Bitcoin supply on exchanges dwindling down to lows that we haven't seen since 2018. Things are looking good fundamentally. It's just a matter of time before equity markets stop selling off, and that will give Bitcoin the room that it needs to move to the upside. Let's see what happens, snipers. It's still the weekend. That's when the markets are the most manipulated due to CME futures for Bitcoin being closed. And so until Monday comes around, we'll see what happens. Bitcoin at a very critical level inside of the range with a support of 38,000, a resistance of 42,000, and a potential scenario where we could clear shorts and move to the upside here soon with 4 consecutive red weekly candles. The last time that happened was in June of 2020, and Bitcoin proceeded to move to the upside to see new all-time highs. Is that going to happen again? Let's find out over the next few days, snipers. Thank you all for tuning into the channel today. Smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm if you support this content, and enjoy your week coming up. I'll see you guys next time. Snipers.